Well, there's many different stories. The previous owners said that people saw a man in a striped suit in this caboose right here behind us. But then they moved some furniture out, and there haven't really been any sightings in that room since then. But a couple of the other cabooses have different things that happen. Windows opening by themselves, closet doors opening and shutting while a guest is sitting there talking to her husband. She watches a closet door open and shut. One day, some guests left for the day and they turned all the lights off, and she left her phone plugged in the charger on the nightstand next to the bed. And they were sticklers for turning the lights off when they left places. They came back and all the lights were on and her phone was not plugged into the charger, and they're looking around for it, and it was on the floor underneath the lap desk that the guest book normally sits on. Yeah, so that was funny. I have experienced paranormal experience. My mom passed away, and about 6 months after she passed away, in the middle of the night, I hear the phone ring, and she said, "Hi, it's Mom," and it was her voice. It was totally her voice. And she said, "Aunt Dot died." That was her sister. And so the next day I called my sister to see if she knew anything about Aunt Dot, and she hadn't heard, but she called our cousin, and sure enough, my aunt had passed away that week. And it was just like I was talking to my mom on the phone. It was so weird. I have experienced paranormal activity here. When we first bought the place, I would walk by one of the cabooses and the window would be open. There was nobody in there. I'd go in and shut the window and walk back by, the window's open again, and this went on for a couple of months, and they finally, I guess, decided not to mess with me anymore. But shampoos and soaps would move from one room to the other. They'd be missing in one room, they'd be in the other room. I wear earplugs when I sleep, and one night when I came to bed, my earplugs were stacked up in a neat little pile next to my bed. Another time I found a button hidden under my pillow, button that you get in clothes wrapped in plastic. It slipped under my pillow. Just little stuff like that. One of them said she woke up to somebody knocking on the headboard. And the other guest was in bed and her husband was out walking their dogs in the morning, and she hears footsteps come up the caboose steps, and she looked outside and there wasn't anybody there, and nobody walked back down. She just heard footsteps coming up, and she thought at first it was her husband, but she looked out and there was nobody there.
One guest said that she heard knocking right next to her headboard and there was nobody there. Lights being left on when the people are freaks about turning them off before they leave their house, so they came back and their caboose was fully lit. Their cell phone had been moved.
Our housekeeper was cleaning one of the rooms, and all of a sudden she hears psst in her ear. She turns around, looks, thought it was the other housekeeper. The other housekeeper was over on the other side cleaning another caboose.
Or, hearing like somebody calling you from psst, psst, and you turn around and nobody's there.
And then she hears it again. Psst. A couple of days later, one of the guests said the same thing about that caboose. And at first he thought it was his wife, but she's sound asleep snoring.
And it happened to the housekeeper. Then the guest checked in the next morning. He's like, "You know what happened? I was walking around in my caboose and I heard psst, psst. And I thought it was my woman and she was asleep." And it happened again like an hour and a half later. He's like, I had too much wine. And I'm like, who cares? So he went at the time of check-in. They came in and they said, "Who's that guy, that old guy on the porch smoking a cigarette on the rocking chair?" And They said, well, nobody lives here that smokes cigarettes or, is old. Well, that old guy's out there. Want to see it? Yes, show me. Go out there, nobody's there. And it turns out and he came around several times after that, but supposedly it's Old Man Johnson, the original owner of the property before the cabooses were even here. So this is a 1912 house, so back then, I guess. So, but we haven't seen him. I think he got tired.
We have the most beautiful setting here, and the cabooses are so unique, and each one is theme decorated, and they're really comfortable. I fix a mean breakfast in the morning, and the guests love it. And it's so peaceful. It's just a really tranquil, peaceful setting. People that want to get out of the hustle and bustle of the city, they love it up here. And we get a lot of young millennials that are looking for unique experiences. Millennials seem to search out the unique vacation experience. They try and one-up each other on who can find the next best unique experience. And so we get a lot of young people from San Francisco and Sacramento and Oakland coming up to visit. And word's getting out. We've had a lot of referrals since we've been here, and return guests just since we've taken over the place. So it's pretty neat.